You're listening to the Business Building Rockstars Show, where your host, Nicole Holland, gets the lowdown from today's most talented, inspiring, and successful entrepreneurs on what it really takes to reach rockstar status.
Hey, this is Nicole Holland, and you're listening to episode 7 of the Business Building Rockstars Show. Today's episode is sponsored by my brand new private community called Tough Cookies. That's where motivated entrepreneurs make their dreams come true with support and resources, connection, and community. For more information, you can text COOKIE to 33444 if you're in the USA. Again, that's COOKIE to 33444, and I'll send you more information. Outside of the USA, not a problem. Stop by bbrshow.com/cookie for more information. My guest, Ellen Finkelstein, and I today talk about how to get over your fear of new business technology. I'm super excited to bring Ellen's interview to you because she is such a brilliant example, living the truth of why you are never too old to learn something new. Ellen also talks about the importance of joining online communities within this episode and the profitability of niching down. So without further ado, here's my interview with Ellen Finkelstein. Hey there, entrepreneur. Welcome to the Business Building Rockstar Show. I'm your host, Nicole Holland, and today I am hanging out with Ellen Finkelstein. And before we get into the good stuff, Ellen, I've got one question for you. Are you ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock.
Awesome. So Ellen has created several websites for herself and has helped others create their own. She teaches business owners such as coaches, speakers, and trainers how to create their own businesses online with an emphasis on internet technology and marketing strategy. She specializes in working with social entrepreneurs and solopreneurs at her website, changetheworldmarketing.com. As the owner of ellenfinkelstein.com, she's developed a website with high search engine rankings and over 100,000 visitors per month, which is amazing. She has 2 email lists there of 7,000 and 10,000 subscribers. At changetheworldmarketing.com, she helps others have the same online success she has had. Ellen, thank you so much for being here with me today. I am honored.
Well, I'm honored that you had me on, so I'm looking forward to it. Very pleased.
Awesome. So I gave our listeners a bit of an intro with your bio, and if you can just fill in the blanks, bring us up to speed, and let us know more about who you are and what you're up to in the world.
Okay. So at changetheworldmarketing.com, as you mentioned, that's where I teach about internet marketing and having an online business. But I learned all of that at ellenfinkelstein.com, which I started in 1999. And that was a pretty long time ago as websites go. And I started it as an author platform. So I had just written my first books on AutoCAD, which is a drafting program. And authors were just starting to have what they call a platform, which basically means a website and a blog and social media platforms, although that was before most of them. And then I started writing books on PowerPoint as well. So these were computer-related books, and that website, ellenfinkelstein.com, is still about those 2 topics. But I learned how to start an email newsletter. In 2004, I wrote my first ebook, and so I learned how to sell stuff online. And all of those things that I learned were through that website. And actually, the traffic there is by now about 300,000 per month. And that's a combination of the fact that I have lots and lots of content there that people need. They need, if they're working with AutoCAD, they search for stuff on AutoCAD and they find my website, and the same thing about PowerPoint and presenting. And also the fact that it's been there for so long. So Google actually favors older websites. And so when you start early, the early bird gets the worm. So that's really how I started. And then in 2010 or 11, I think 2011, I decided to teach a live course in my local hometown on internet marketing because there were people there who really needed a way to make some money online on their own. And so I created Change the World Marketing as a kind of test website to show people. I just built it from scratch and showed them what I was doing as I was doing it. And then I just realized, hey, I really love this. And so I've continued building that business as well.
Awesome. I love that. So it just has evolved. But it sounds like this probably wasn't what you imagined yourself doing when you were very young. So let's go back to like, I don't know, 5 or 6, because that's such a fun age where kids are like, I want to be Superman, or my little brother, he wanted to be the garbage man. Not anymore. Not in his 30s. He doesn't. So when you were a kid, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Actually, I don't remember having a specific desire, something that I wanted to do, but I will say that whatever it was, it did not have to do with business. Neither of my parents were especially business oriented, although my father, I only found out when he was almost 90 that a job that he had that he used to take me to, that he actually was co-owner of the business. I didn't know at all of that time. And so I was thinking more in terms of something academic, probably, maybe be a teacher, something like that. I guess, it was so long ago. I am of an age that nothing having to do with technology was really around at that time, even though I ended up later on being drawn to technology.
Cool. And so tell me about that point. Let's dig in a little bit more to that point where you realized that you did want to have a business. Did you have kind of a light bulb moment, or how did that evolve?
I would say that my light bulb moment, not in terms of having a business, but in what I wanted to do, happened when I was working at a bank and I was a benefits manager, and I was doing, maybe you know what a 401k plan is. It's a kind of retirement plan. And I was proposing one for the bank. And I kept on crunching all these numbers with an adding machine. That's how you did it in those days. And then you gave all those numbers to your secretary and she typed it up, and I would present it to the board of trustees or the board of directors. And they kept on asking me to do it again and again. And this was in 1984, probably, when the first Apple computers came out. And I said to my boss, if they ask me to do those numbers one more time, I want you to have someone show me how to use the computer. And so that's what happened. And I learned how to use Lotus 1-2-3. And to me, it was like a miracle that I could change one number and all the rest of the numbers were changed after I had been doing this manually again and again and again. When I later had children and I needed something to do, and I had learned AutoCAD and worked on computers. These were really in the early days, in the late 80s. And so in the early 90s, we moved. My husband got a new job, and I had 2 young children. They were 2 and 6 months. And so I started teaching people how to use computers based on that amazing moment when I went, this, which was, Lotus 1-2-3 is like Excel. Most people use Excel now. And me thinking, that is a miracle. It is so amazing. And I just loved it so much. So because I had 2 young children, I started doing some computer training, and I started doing some also technical editing of books on Excel. And eventually I got the chance to write a book on AutoCAD because I had learned it, and then on PowerPoint as well. And so it really happened because I had 2 little kids at home. And I like to say that I started my business so I could stay at home. But now that my kids are 27 and 29, that same business lets me travel, gives me the freedom to go wherever I want, because it's a business that's just based on having an internet connection.
That's amazing. So you're one of the early tech people, and it is amazing when there is a system that you learn that takes everything that you've been spending hours and hours and hours doing and condenses it down into seconds.
That's exactly what Lotus 1-2-3 did. And I had been pounding at that adding machine and then writing down the numbers manually and then giving them to my secretary that she would type up. You just think about that, and that whole way of working is so totally outdated now.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people who get intimidated by technology, and I have never been a techie person myself, right? I didn't know anything about technology, but I was willing to learn because I thought, I just want to figure out what's going to help me make my life easier. I don't need to know how to do everything. I don't need to even know how to I don't even need to know the lingo of a lot of things, but I know that, for example, I want to have a website, and oh my gosh, the first times I made websites, I think I did it on Publisher. I mean, like years ago.
Right. Yep.
And now, when I came back into business, it's like, well, WordPress is what people are using. I thought, this is scary looking. Like I opened it up, I go, what do you do with this? And then I started figuring it out because I knew that it was going to make my life easier if I took the time in the beginning. And I love how you had that realization and then just built this business all around that to give you all of the freedoms that you wanted without really going into it as, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. This is my destiny. It was just sort of happenstance, and you just made the best of it, eh?
Yep. Yeah, it was definitely not, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It was just the circumstances, and I needed to work at home at the time.
That's beautiful. And so another thing I want to acknowledge is that you mentioned of a certain age. And I love that because what I hear from a lot of people is, I'm too old. I don't know how to use that tech stuff. I don't know how to get on Facebook. What's that about? My grandfather, he recently passed, but he was 92 and he was using the internet and ordering all the stuff he needed online. So I think it's just such a mindset thing where if people believe that they're too old, they are. But the truth is you're never too old, right?
I agree. A friend of mine recently posted on Facebook an experience she'd had in the Apple store where there was a woman who she said was about 85 or 90, and she was having some trouble with her iPad, and they said that she would have to leave it there. And she said, well, I'll have to come back because in half an hour I'm doing a webinar. And her main point was, man, I hope I'm like that at her age. And I have another friend who's around 75 who owns about 15 or 20 URLs, domain names, and she's been doing online business for the longest time. So absolutely, it's something that you can do at any age. Now, of course, you might, if you can manage it, you might want to outsource some of the more technical things, and you can outsource it in many ways. You can outsource things that you don't know, or you can actually hire someone to teach you some things. So you don't have to struggle to learn it by yourself.
Yeah, I love that. There are so many different resources and so many opportunities to learn. And even if you're not technical and you're afraid of the internet, if you can find the right mentor, the right teacher who has that personality that you gel with and you get into one of their programs, usually all you have to be able to do is turn the thing on, connect to the internet, click a link, and you're there. And like you can see the videos, right? And you do a lot of webinars, don't you, that train people on different topics?
Yes, I'm a big fan of webinars. I think it's the new speaking because you can only be in a room with so many people at a time. But on a webinar, you can reach the whole world. You can reach huge numbers of people. Yep.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and I mean, to me, it's like podcasting and also Summit. It's like, it's the same thing. You just have this beautiful ability I mean, I'm sitting here in my home office, you're in your home office, and we are in different countries and we're hanging out here, and people from all over the world can tune in and listen to us and get content. And it's just, it's like, it's amazing. And 50 years ago, this would have been science fiction. So I love what the internet and what technology is doing for us in terms of helping us connect and helping people learn and really live their dreams more than ever before in the history of the world. Are we able to really do whatever we want? It's true when when you're a kid and the parents and teachers say, when you're growing up, you can be anything you want. It's true now, you can.
It's true. It's true. I wanted to tell you a couple of stories about that. I compare webinars in terms of their impact to Gutenberg inventing the printing press. Before that, knowledge was so limited to a few people. And then when books could be more available, then it could be available to so many more people. And then when the internet came about, anyone could write a blog and publish content, and that whole thing exploded. Think of Wikipedia, for example, which is a total encyclopedia written by individual people all around the world. And I've done for about 5 or 6 years you could call it like a webinar summit, 7 series of 7 speakers in webinars about presentations. And the second year, we had 3,000 people registered in 97 countries.
Wow.
So you're right that whole thing, that how historic it is, and that the reach that you can have. And I get emails from all over the world from people who've been touched by my content. So a few months ago, I got an email from South Sudan. Now, that's the newest country in the world. It just split off from Sudan. Somebody who was interested in my products. And just a few days ago, this was really poignant. I sent out a promotional email for a book called Booked, and it was by Josh Turner, and it's about getting appointments so that you can have enough clients. And so it was very commercial. And I get an email back from somebody in Syria. And you know what's going on in Syria. It's just the most horrific war going on there all the time. And so he says, thank you for the link to the book. It was a free book. And then he started talking about the situation in Syria. And it was just so awful. But it was so heartwarming for me to just be able to write back to him and say, all I can wish you is wish you and your country peace, and then to have him write back and thank me for my thoughts. So you can just reach people all over the world. If you have a message, go out there and do webinars and speak and publish your content, whatever it is, because you really can touch people everywhere.
Absolutely. I love that you bring that up, because I've had those kind of heartwarming moments too, and it's like, whoa, what I'm doing is making such a difference in impacting lives. And it's just, there's no words. So let me ask you this. Have you had any bumps along the way? Again, this business kind of happened, but so you weren't like shooting for it. So was it easy, smooth sailing all the time? Or did you ever have any pitfalls that you went, oh, I'm not really sure about this?
I think it's been a learning process all the way along. So instead of things that were really bumps, there's just been some struggle all the way along until I became more successful. For example, one of the things that happened that I didn't think about because I didn't really know very much about internet marketing at the beginning, I have this website, that ellenfinkelstein.com, that has so much traffic and so much content, but it's free content. And the people who came there to look at it were people who were using that content for their job. And so they didn't really have the ability to buy something so easily. They would have to go to their boss and get a budget for it. And so I realized that there was a kind of mismatch between the fact that I was giving away all this free information, but then trying to monetize it was a little bit difficult. And when I started changetheworldmarketing.com, it was a totally different market. I was marketing to individuals who could make a personal decision about whether to buy something or not. So that was a big aha moment for me, in the sense that if I had known all of that before, then I would have focused my attention differently in terms of how I wrote my blog posts and just who I was talking to.
Awesome. And I really appreciate you bringing that up, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs do have different interests, and they're like, but I don't want to do just one thing. And it's like a constant struggle to get people to niche down. So what you do, if I'm understanding right, is you actually have two completely separate markets, two completely separate sites, and you love serving both of them.
Yes, actually, that's true. And there is some crossover. For example, it's true that people with an online business should be doing webinars. And when they do webinars, they'll be creating slides with PowerPoint, and they should know how to create those slides so that they're most engaging and persuasive. And most online business marketers don't know how to do that. In fact, lots of presenters don't know how to do that. So that's one area, that area of webinars and presenting, that is a crossover, and that I've been able to use my experience teaching people how to use PowerPoint and how to present in a powerful and persuasive way. I've been able to focus that on online marketers and help them. But a lot of the content that I do is not related. And so it's, in a sense, it's two businesses, and you have to approach them differently. The target market is different.
Yeah, awesome. So it's what most people don't hear, but you can have multiple business, or you can have, what I encourage people to do is not have multiple businesses, but you can do different things. Like, I mean, I have landing pages for all different things. And, I use lead pages. I love lead pages rather than building a site personally. That's just me. because I can get as many different domains as I want. And if I have a WordPress site, all I got to do is connect it through a plugin with Lead Pages. And so it publishes like it's on the WordPress site, even though it's a Lead Pages page. And it's like, if I want to talk to direct salespeople, I can create a site for them, but really I'm still just using Lead Pages. And then if I want to talk with coaches, I can talk to them and have a total separate thing. And it's not that because the work that I do is complementary, I can have it going a bunch of different places. And I think a lot of people are resistant to niching down because they're like, well, I don't want to just do one thing. I want to do this and I want to do this. And I always say, okay, fine, but concentrate on one thing at a time, then build it out and do as many things as you want. But there's a good chance that if you really focus on just one for a little bit, you're going to see how that other thing can come into rather than being completely separate. So.
Well, I think that's brilliant. You really need to figure out how to have a success in one area. And then once you have, it's like a franchise kind of idea. So you figure it out for one thing, and then you can multiply it for lots of other different target markets or even different products. But it's really frustrating if you have several things that you're trying to sell and none of them are successful because you never really perfected it.
Yeah, totally. And even just the summit, like this podcast is new and it's a part of my platform. It's part of my brand, but I started with the summit, and that is a solid thing. That's every November 1st to November 30th. 30 rockstar entrepreneurs from around the world get interviewed about specific strategies, how to get started with them. And so the show is more about, okay, now we're going to dive into the backstory, find out what makes a business building rockstar, and get to know them a little bit more. And so it's like the people who love my summit are going to love my podcast. The people who love my podcast are going to love my summit. And then also, obviously I do coaching and mentoring and products and stuff like that. And so it's sort of just building this whole community of different things. And so I'm assuming it's the same with you, with your multiple websites. Your people love you. They love your style, the way that you're helping them, the webinars. And so it's like, it's just a way to grow the more things you can connect to each other.
And that's, again, going back to webinars, how I think it's so cool to do webinars. And we're using Zoom right now to record this. And I love Zoom because people can see you at the same time. If you're showing slides, they can see the slides, but they can still see you. And so it's really a way to connect with people and to engage people much more than just audio or just slides. So I tell people not to hide behind the slides.
Absolutely. Ellen, you've given so many great tips, and I'm going to ask you some specifics now. So tell me, is there one book, like business book or mindset book, that's helped you as an entrepreneur that you would love to share about?
I don't have a book, but I definitely want to recommend learning. So learning about things. And so one of the problems that entrepreneurs have when they're first starting out is called bright, shiny object syndrome. You've heard of that?
I think it goes beyond even just starting out. I know a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I have it too. And it's embarrassing. I went over to JV Zoo recently to look up a product, and I saw all the other products I had bought there that I hadn't looked at. So we want to learn, but you want to learn in a purposeful way. And so I really recommend communities, online communities. So I belong to something called NAMS. It's at mynams.com, and it's an online community. There's a Facebook group there, and there are others. I also belong to the JV Insider Circle, and so these are communities where anytime I want, I can go and ask a question, which is really, really cool. But I can also help other people, and there's also in the background, there's also content for me that I can learn that's really focused on what I want. So I really recommend learning in an interactive way. So instead of just buying this course or buying that course, instead buying into, and usually these are monthly payments, but there's all of this information that you can reference anytime you want. So it's like hundreds of books are there for you in that sense. But then you also have that interactivity with a coach and with the other people in the group, so you can ask whatever you need at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you bring that up. We are recording this before the launch date. And once the Business Building Rockstar Show launches, we're actually launching with a membership site. And the first 100 people get lifetime access. So it's not even like a monthly. Normally it is monthly, but if you want lifetime access, it's only $300. So
Cool.
That is something I'll have the link to below in the show notes. And yeah, if you're resonating with my guests and you're resonating with me, absolutely, community is so, so important. And I would love for you to join at a deeper level. So thank you for that unexpected segue into that. And tell me, what about tools? So you talk about webinars a lot. You love webinars. We've mentioned Zoom. Is there anything either webinar related or otherwise that you just couldn't do business without, that you just love?
Well, I'm going to say PowerPoint. And I guess that's surprising, but I know PowerPoint really, really well. I'm a PowerPoint MVP. It's a Microsoft award and one of 13 in the United States. But I've realized that PowerPoint isn't just for presentations. So yes, you can use slides that are very visual and very striking and very persuasive. And if you use PowerPoint that way, it can be very powerful. But PowerPoint is an amazing graphics program. So you can use it to create images on your sales pages. I use it for all of my blog posts. Every blog post should have an image because it attracts more attention. You can create these little quotes that people have with an image and a quote on top of it for social media. You could do those really, really nicely in PowerPoint. Great tool for that. So it's just a great tool for any type of graphic that you need. And you need a lot of them. You need graphics all the time. You should always be thinking of the ideas you want to send out to the world and then how to visualize it, because people actually respond more to images than they do to words. And so when people can see what you're talking about, then they get it. They understand it better, they remember it better, and it's also more persuasive. There's lots and lots of research about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you brought that up. And what's funny is, no, PowerPoint's not expected. I think you're the first person I've probably ever heard anywhere recommend PowerPoint within the last years, but I love it too. And Microsoft, I have 365, so they're always upgrading everything. And I'm not a big techie, and I don't have Adobe Suite. And I didn't know until fairly recently that I could remove a background in a picture with PowerPoint. It has been life-changing for my graphics.
Absolutely.
Literally just a month or two ago, I figured out how to do that in PowerPoint. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
It actually has two ways of removing a background: a simple way if the background's one color, and a more complicated way if the background's more complex. And absolutely, you can make use that technique and then make collages of several pictures and put them together to encompass a new product you're talking about, whatever it is.
Yeah, actually, I am a partner in Gina Gabellini's launch, which is going on right now while we're recording, and I've made up my own graphics to get them a little bit different than everybody else's graphics, because there's over 100 people supporting her. So I've actually taken her graphics of her as a person, removed the background, and then put new different things in there. And people are like, "Whoa, your graphics are so cool!" I'm like, "Yes, they are." And my secret is PowerPoint, so the cat's out of the bag. Awesome. Well, Ellen, we're going to wrap up. Just before we do, let us know again, what's the best way for listeners to find you?
Definitely at changetheworldmarketing.com. You can go there and you can sign up for my newsletter. I have a great download for people. It's a multi-various thing. So you get a guide to having an online business, 13 steps to a successful online business, which is great for people who are just starting out or who are still really not sure which direction they're going into, because it lays out the whole structure of what you need to do to create an online business. And then it includes also 4 videos. So I have something on webinars, and I have something on how to write and sell an ebook, and have something on how to grow your list, and a 4th thing that I can't remember right now. But it's a lot of training that you'll get, really good video training plus that guide. So changetheworldmarketing.com.
Awesome. And I'm going to have that in the show notes below. And I did check out your page, and it looks like just a phenomenal, phenomenal gift. So thank you for that. And thank you for being here today. I had a lot of fun with you.
Me too. I'm so glad to get to know you.
Awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, please be sure to subscribe on iTunes so that you don't miss an episode. And if you're just joining us for the first time, you'll want to catch up on all the past episodes, which is super easy to do when you do subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a rating and review on iTunes to help support the podcast, I would love to receive that as well. Please do leave your comments letting me know what you love about the show, and then head on over to bbrshow.com/launch. And you're going to find out that I've got a free gift to give you for supporting the launch and supporting our efforts. Again, that's bbrshow.com/launch. For all of today's show notes and resource links, go ahead and visit bbrshow.com, and you're also going to be able to connect directly with me on that website. You'll see at the bottom of our show notes page, there's an opportunity to leave your comments. I do read all of the comments, and I'll be happy to respond directly. Again, today's sponsor was the Tough Cookies, my brand new private membership community for entrepreneurs who are looking for resources, connection, community, and fun. Check out bbrshow.com/cookie for more information, or you can text cookie to 33444 if you're in the United States. Thank you once again for tuning in. I love you tons, and I look forward to talking with you again next time for episode 8, where Jamie Sullivan and I are hanging out to talk about how to live in congruence and align what you're doing with who you are being. Don't miss it.
And there you have it. If you enjoyed this episode of the Business Building Rockstars Show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss a thing. And visit bbrshow.com for all the show notes and links to resources discussed on today's show. Plus, lots more.